All right, y'all, so I went ahead and did something super cool. Excuse the noise if you're picking up a bunch of noise here, but this is kind of like the quietest place I could find to do this, so I can do it real quick. So behind me is the secret. Well, it's not a secret, I guess it's right there, but so I just got this Ford F-350 Tremor package, and it's a Lariat edition, just like it says over there, and it's got I think every single option. I kind of just clicked on every single thing I could find, so just basically anything that I would want to click on, this truck has it. And I got gigantic mirrors, as you can see above my head here. But anyways, I'm going to do a quick walk around, just kind of show you what it looks like on the outside. This is just my initial impressions, right? Like literally just picked it up, and just going to talk about a few things as my hey, new guy, just picked up a Ford F-350 and never had one before. I think my last big Super Duty vehicle was a GMC Denali, but that was dual 3500, but dual rear wheels. So that's my last experience with a Super Duty. Before this, I had a Ford Raptor, and I've had the GMC 1500s as well, and a few other pickups. So not my first pickup, so I kind of have a little bit of insight when it comes to pickups and whatever else not. So I'm just going to share my feelings driving this, my initial feelings. This is not digested. This is not like I've had time to think about this. This is, I picked up the vehicle and this is how I felt about it. So we're gonna go through that right now, kind of give you a walk around real quick, show you what the outside looks like, then go inside and kind of just talk through some things, what I experienced while driving it, okay? So let's get this party started. Okay, so what I'm gonna start off with is just doing a walk around, and I'm going to go silent first just so you can kind of soak it all in, and then I'll do another loop where I kind of zoom in on certain things that make this Ford F-350 special, and we'll talk about that. So I'm hoping I don't fall on my face here because I'm kind of in a construction area, so I figured this would be a nice little, I like to bring my vehicles over here. I don't know what I'm going to do when they start actually doing construction out here, but I started talking and ruined it all, so I'm going to start over. Right, and that was all the way around. So I'm in a construction area here, so if it was a little bit bouncy, it's because I was climbing all up in there just so I could keep this in focus. And I went ahead and got a bunch of sand in my Crocs here, so that's great. That's just some of the stuff I do for you guys. So let's zoom in. So coming up in here, so this is the Ford 6.7 liter Power Stroke diesel, and the Tremor edition. So what makes it a Tremor? If you're looking in here, you have right there is a shock absorber right there with a little red sleeve on it. And if we come around here, you'll see that it says Tremor right there. Okay, so that's what makes it a Tremor. I honestly don't even know what shock that is, if it's even anything special or just a regular Ford shock that just has Tremor written on it, but that wouldn't surprise me. But it also comes with the black wheels and the DuraTrack 35-inch tires. So that's a LT 285 75 18, so 18-inch wheels on this, and it makes it sit pretty good. So if we zoom out like this, you can kind of tell the front sits a little bit higher than a normal F-350. It's not as raked, so that's actually pretty good. So we'll zoom back in here. It's got the keyless or the key code for entry, You can see here, this is the blind spot detection. And I like this. I think this is real cool. Ford on the inside, and it's your turn signal right there. And if we look down here, you can see the camera, one of the cameras that they used to do that 360 view. So that's actually pretty nice. Over here, these are Ford Raptor running boards, or a similar running board, because I remember this from my Ford Raptor, what you would get on there. It just doesn't say Raptor on it, it just says Ford. But this is super cool. I like these, and the reason I went with these instead of what do you call those automatic ones, you know, you open the door, it kind of comes down, is because I live in Colorado, so I feel like sooner or later I'm gonna get that hung up in some snow, or it's gonna go bad because there was a bunch of snow and ice on it and I tried to activate it, whatever other kind of situation like that. I just felt like that's gonna be better. And even for camping and things like that, I feel like you're not gonna get that, or overlanding, you're not gonna get that hung up on, you try to open your door and it's against a rock or something like that. Just multiple scenarios, I think, you could encounter with those automatic ones. So I just went with that. Let's see. So in here, once again, there's your Tremor shock, and then different springs up here, of course, to make it sit level. And then one thing about this Tremor edition is that this piece over here is way shorter. Like if you look on a regular Ford F-350, this comes down to like over here, and it looks absolutely ridiculous. So they cut that off so you can have better approach angles. On the Tremor, since it's supposed to be an off-road, I'm doing air quotes, off-road vehicle. So over here, this is like a throwback system, right? Like back in the days, you used to be able to lock your wheels by engaging this here. So this kind of still has that. I would never get out of my vehicle to come and engage it unless for some reason the button isn't working inside, but it's kind of cute. I think it's cool. So that's about that over there. So this is the blackout package as well. So if you're looking at the front, everything is blacked out, no chrome. And then even this Ford emblem right here is also blacked out. So this is usually blue, and it's not. This is usually chrome, but it's actually like a bronze kind of look to it. So I like that. I think that's pretty cool. I like that blacked out. The headlights are also blacked out. The trim inside is black, so that looks super sweet as well. I like that these are black and that they didn't try to do like a red or whatever people are always trying to do with that. So I like that, like that. So over here, I guess this is an option that I didn't get. You can get a winch that comes in here, but it's like $3,000, and I feel like for that option, and I feel like I could buy a 12,000 pound winch for $1,000 or whatever and put it in there. I'm sure there's some bracketry and whatever else not I would have to buy, but I think I can do it myself for way cheaper than that. So that's what I'm gonna do there. And then this, of course, is your front camera. Kind of helps with that whole 360 view again. And if you're off-road, that will kind of help you see what's in front of you. So I like that about that. I like the Super Duty right here. I like how it's all, I don't know what you call that, sunken in, embossed. No, or is that the opposite? Anyways, I like how this looks and how it's all kind of sunken in like that. But cool, nice hood. Let's see, coming around here. If we look at this Lariat piece here, so this is where you usually have a bunch of chrome here as well, and you can tell there's no chrome over here whatsoever. Everything is all blacked out, so that's cool. And so are these caps. These caps are, that's great. There's a plane flying overhead. So I'll just go louder, but these caps are usually blacked out, or are usually chrome as well. So that's blacked out, and that comes with that package, so that's cool. And then these actually telescope out, which is actually kind of cool. So if you had a trailer, you'd pull these out, and then they also go back into this position, and they also fold using switches in the front. So 6.7 liter power stroke diesel, and that is about everything. Oh yeah, of course, you have to have the Tremor sticker back here so everybody knows. But in the back, I got a couple of boxes, ignore those. But I like the back. I like that it came, it's an option, but it's this Tough Bed Spray In bed liner. So probably it's just some rebranded Line-X or whatever. But I like that. It says Ford in the front, and there's another camera right there to show in the back. And then if we go in here, it's got the soft open tailgate, which is pretty sweet. If you look on the floor right there, I got the prep package for what do you call it, for a gooseneck hitch. So that's pretty cool right there. And then because of that, I got these things over here. I don't think you can get these if you didn't have that prep package, so I think this comes with it. But it's basically your connections for your camper or anything like that, because what I'm trying to do in here is I'm actually trying to do a what do you call it, a truck bed camper. Okay, so it's nice that I'm going to be able to just plug it in here instead of trying to go down to the hitch and plugging it in up there instead. So that's actually cool. And then there's a light for the bed, and that's a switch over there. Hit it again and it kind of fades out. That's kind of cool. And then I've got the connections or the handles, whatever else not that goes in here to create tie down points or strap stuff into that. So I'm going to put those on later. And then I already picked up my first boxes, so that's cool. So all right, I think that's, oh, this is actually pretty cool too. Let's talk about this real quick. So usually in the trucks that I drive, I've had diesels before, and this is actually inside. So I like that they put the DEF fluid in here so it's easier to fill, and right next to your your diesel cap. So that's actually pretty cool that they did that. And yeah, of course it's diesel. Close that up, and let's see, I think that's about everything from the outside. I'm gonna zoom out for effect here, and that's it. We're gonna go inside now and talk about everything else inside and see what I can remember from my driving impressions. All right, so when you get into the vehicle, right, it looks pretty good. And I think one of the biggest things that makes it look like that is this gigantic screen right here. Super impressed that they did that. And I actually like the orientation, how it's landscape as opposed to up and down or portrait like you would have in a Tesla or the new Ram trucks or whatever else not. This is absolutely fantastic. Excellent. I love that. Everything else in the vehicle, pretty normal stuff. I got the leather perforated. I got the leather with the holes in it. Apparently I can't say that word, but because it's got cooling and the seats are heated, so whatever. The back, tons of room in the back, right? Like that about it too. So not a shortage of room at all. And I've got the moon roof, of course, and I keep the actual piece open, but I don't think I've ever opened an actual sunroof. I just like the light coming in, and it's kind of nice because I live in Colorado, so if you're out in the mountains and just driving out there, it's always super nice being able to look up and see the mountains, or you're driving through a canyon or something like that. So I always like that, and whenever I don't have a moonroof, I always feel like I'm missing something, so always kind of try to get that. And then up here you got your upfitter switches. You can wire your lights, because you got to put like 800 lights on this thing, so you can wire your lights and everything else there. And then this button here opens a little window in the back right there. So not as cool as the what do you call that thing? I had a Tundra, and I think that whole window came down. So this just has that little middle piece that kind of comes out. So, but beggars can't be choosers. So let's see. So you've got a bunch of other buttons there. That's how you operate the sunroof and whatever else not. Open that up, and then what else do I have in here? I like the console, super big console, tons of room in there. I already have some stuff. I'm trying to organize things, see where I'm going to put everything. So it's a little bit of a mess right now. And another cool thing about this, I've got this plugged in here just because it's charging, right? But you actually don't use a cable to do CarPlay anymore. It just works wirelessly. So that's actually pretty good. So you can unplug this and not even use that. Another cool thing is that you've got this charger down here, which the idea of it is cool. So you can put your phone down there and charge it, but I've got an iPhone 12, just a regular one, and putting my hand down in there to try to put it in is actually kind of clumsy. Like, they should have made this opening a whole lot bigger. I can't even imagine if you had like an iPhone Plus or one of those big Galaxy phones, how it would be kind of painful just trying to maneuver it to put it down there. So I wish this space would have been bigger, but it's nice that they have it, right? You can put your phone down in there eventually and have it charge. So actually pretty cool having that. Steering wheel, a pretty standard affair. I like all the, I've got the, what do you call that? Adaptive cruise control. So this is all your buttons to control that and everything. And, you know, your voice commands, volume up and down. The steering wheel, leather wrapping. Okay, so you don't think about leather wrapping until you've driven a few vehicles that actually have leather wrapping. And then after you do that, you're like, you know what? You can't live without it, because I drove a car that didn't have the leather wrapping, and the steering wheel just feels really funny. It just doesn't feel the same. So it's kind of nice having that, and I would not want a vehicle that didn't have a leather wrap steering wheel. So it sounds pretty bougie when you think about it, but honestly, after you've driven it, it's like, it feels more comfortable for one reason or the other. But on to what I'm actually wanting to talk about is holding the steering wheel. For some reason, it has a very, I don't know, a weird cheap leather feel to it, or more vinyl than leather, you know. So that's actually pretty interesting, you know, holding it. That's just my first impressions. Maybe after driving it for a while and driving other vehicles, I'll come back, I'll be like, you know what, this doesn't seem so bad. But honestly, holding that right now, it just feels a little weird. It just feels like they could have done better with that. But I digress a little bit, but I feel like that's American vehicles in general, right? I've had BMWs, and you get in there, and even the cheapest BMW, when you're inside, it just feels, things feel different, just a little bit more premium. But my question to American manufacturers is, we're starting to pay a lot of money for these vehicles. Like, this is outfitted like this is what, almost $100,000 for this vehicle. So if you're paying that amount of money, I think they should start paying attention to not just putting a 6.7, you know, turbo diesel engine in it, and start thinking about refining the interior a little bit. I like the screen, that's a good start, but they could definitely do something about these accents. This thing, for example, I don't know if you'll be able to pick it up on camera, but I think you can pick up the colors, right? This is like a different kind of black, and it just looks a little cheap, you know. And then you've got this piece over there. It's like, why didn't you just take this and carry it over maybe and put it in here so that this piece and that piece are the same? I don't know, but they didn't do that. This also seems pretty cheap and feels cheap when you're looking at it. So little things like that really bother me, right? Then you've got this, which is another different color. Like, I'm not a designer, but it's like, why throw all these colors in here? Carry this over then and just put that in there so it carries over, or so that it kind of ties in. And then this is a different color as well, now that I'm thinking about it. So that's a color, that's a color, that's a color, and just, I don't think it has to be like that, you know. And that matches the door handles over there. But, you know, I think it's subjective, but I would like to see it tie in a little bit better. So let's carry on here. So, yeah, let's go down here. So you actually have spotlights on the mirrors there underneath. So you can do a spotlight, well, a spotlight on the left, spotlight on the right, and then down here you can release your tailgate, which is actually kind of cool, because I went and picked up those boxes that I have in the back, and I was wondering when I would ever use that button, but I actually used that when the guy came over to do the curbside, and he was like, put him in the back. I was like, yeah, put him in the back, and I hit the button and the tailgate came down. So I think that's pretty cool. So back to business here, pedals up and down, light controls, and I should put this on automatic. All right, there we go, much better. I didn't even realize that wasn't an automatic, but brake release, and then pop the hood open, and let's see. So this is your Pro trailer brake or trailer backup assist knob here. So the way you use that is that you actually just use this to, like, if you want your vehicle to go right, you would just push it to the right. If you want, or the trailer, if you want the trailer to go left, it'll just go to the left. Because the thing about trying to back up a trailer is that the controls are all opposite, right? So if you turn the steering wheel in what you think is the intuitive direction to get the trailer to go to that direction, it's actually going to go to the opposite direction. So this kind of just helps you by doing the mirror matching. So it actually controls your steering wheel. When you push that, you'll see the steering wheel kind of spin in the direction that you want that trailer to go. So that's actually pretty cool. And then you got your trailer brake right here, and you can use that when you're towing a trailer to kind of manually put brakes on the trailer itself, as long as your trailer has the capability to do that. But you can pinch that, and this is actually how you would apply brakes. So just a little explanation for somebody who's never used it. Back here is kind of nice too. I like this section over here because you can actually store things in there, and it actually collapses as well, so it makes a flat surface in case you were carrying something that you wanted just sitting flat. And then I've already started kind of putting things in here haphazardly right now until I get a container or some kind of situation to organize them. But that's just my recovery gear and some rain gear and that kind of stuff in there. So I'm going to find out exactly how I want to arrange that. But it's nice having that built-in space, so you don't have to try to buy a truck organizer or whatever else not that you usually have to do under these seats. So that's actually pretty good. And that's the other side. So let's see what else we have here. So it's got the B&O, I'd pronounce that, but I don't know exactly how to say that, Bang & Olufsen or something like that. And I had it in my Raptor as well, and I don't feel like it was as good in my Raptor, and I feel like it's slightly better in here. So you can turn it on, play some music, and it actually sounds pretty good. So that's good. Visors, mirror, lights, sunglass holder right there with some glasses in it. Let's see. Yeah, same situation with the mirror. And then what else? So I think that's about it. This is just your, oh my God. Okay, so let's talk about that real quick. I'm gonna close the door, and I'm actually gonna turn it on so I can show you something here. This is probably, oh, that's pretty cool. It kind of just shows you. I'm gonna turn it off again so you can see this action. So it's got the driver's seat memory or comfort exit entry, where when you turn it off, everything kind of moves backwards or forwards. So right now my seat is backwards so I can get in, but I can, when I start it, push button, of course, the seat moves forward, the steering wheel moves to the position that it's supposed to be at. And I wanted you to see that forward. I think that's pretty cool, that graphic in there. We're gonna move over here and show you this. So nice screen, right? I mean, it touches really good. Everything I think works really well. Now that I'm touching it and it's not working, but it's because I just started the vehicle. But I think it responds pretty well. I don't have a real big problem with that whatsoever. I think that's all fine. And I think the screen is bright enough. I think it's a nice contrasting screen. But the worst thing in the world is putting this into reverse and looking at this screen. This looks like, I don't know if it's transferring onto camera, but it looks like a vintage color TV, like that first color TV ever made. That's what this image looks like. And I'm not even exaggerating. I don't want to sound spoiled, but this is absolutely horrible. Like even this image here, I know on camera right now, I'm looking at the camera and it looks kind of cool, but it's not good. It's super grainy and just flaky, like it's snowing or something like that, but it just doesn't look good at all. I even went back there. I was like, maybe the detailing people kind of just, what do you call it? They left some streaks or whatever on the camera, but that's not it. It's really just, honestly, just horrible cameras. And again, for a $100,000 vehicle, not cool, Ford, not cool. So I'm hoping that somewhere along the line, somebody actually comes up with a solution of replacing these cameras or something like that. I don't know if that's even going to happen. But anyways, looking up here, this is your camera modes up here. So you got the 360, and then you can do that. And yeah, it's just another level of grainy. Let's select a different camera angle. Yeah, that's just another level of grainy. You guys get the idea. This is the camera in the bed, and the boxes, I mean, look how fuzzy they are. You can't even tell. I mean, you can tell they're boxes, but it's not a good image. That's the bottom story. I'm not gonna hop on that much longer, but I just wanted you guys to see that. So the camera, absolutely pathetic, absolutely horrible. And you can see in here, I've got about 106 miles on this vehicle now. Picked it up with about 8 or 5, I don't remember, but I've put 106 0.9 miles on it. And these impressions are based on that 106 miles that I've driven it. I'm going to turn this off because it's kind of blowing cold air in my face. So let's turn that off. And my seat is moving back. So on the road, it drives well. I'm going to say it drives well. It's a 350, right? So the back has extra springs in there because you're supposed to be able to tow whatever, an insane amount of weight back there. So they do that by making it stiff. So that being said, you also have to expect that the vehicle is going to ride a little rough. I talked about my Denali that I used to have, the dual rear wheel, and I feel like that rode a whole lot rougher than this does. I feel like it's a pretty smooth ride. Maybe it's the shocks because it's a Tremor package. So maybe the shocks that they put back there are making a difference. But honestly, it's not too bad. It's not jarring when I hit railroad tracks. I don't feel like it's hopping over them. It's, yeah, I just hit railroads in a truck and it's empty in the back. But it's not anything that's insanely uncomfortable or uncomfortable. So I like that about it. So I feel like it generally drives very well. And speed-wise, it picks up speed insanely well. Like I can get up to speed while going on an on-ramp, like amazingly well, right? So I know, yeah, it's got about 1,050, I believe, pound-foot of torque. So yeah, it's supposed to, but just feeling that is absolutely amazing. Same time, it's not a sports car, so it's not going to throw you to the back of your seat and you're going to experience 8 Gs or whatever. No, it's not like that at all, but it's definitely powerful. When you hit the gas pedal, it reacts, and that's super cool for such a big truck. So I feel like I can easily get up to speed because I think it also has 470 horsepower on it. So I'm not reading off a piece of paper. I wish I was, because then maybe I could be more accurate about this stuff, but I think those numbers are fairly accurate. Let me see. So that's my driving impressions. The stops pretty good. I feel like maybe too well, because when I stop, it kind of does this shutter thing at the end, but everything is still being broken in, right? Brand new vehicle. So working through that. So let me see what else. Driving, I think that's about it. Oh, steering wheel. The steering wheel, you know, I'm coming from a Jeep. So the steering wheel in Jeeps are historically just bad. Like when you're driving, it feels like there's a lot of movement in the steering wheel before you actually get the steering wheel to move, or before you actually get the car to react to that. And if you watch my Jeep video, I kind of talk a little bit about that. But I feel like this does the same thing. Like when you're driving at speed on the highway, there's more play in the steering wheel than what you would feel is comfortable. Like you want it to be a little bit tighter, and it's just not. I know. So here's what I'm talking about with the steering wheel. Like all this play here, and towards the very end of that, do you feel the vehicle actually, you know, make any effort to recognize the input from the steering wheel? Like I can do this and it doesn't even really rock. It doesn't really rock the cabin at all. So I feel like this could be a little bit tighter. I know it's not a sports car, but I also know that I've driven other vehicles where it's not quite like that either. So yeah, I can just do this all day long and the vehicle continues to go straight. So I know that these vehicles also come with, which is an option I didn't get, maybe I should have gotten it, adaptive steering. Well, where at high speed, it kind of tightens your steering wheel, and at low speed, it loosens it so that you can make, you don't have to make as many turns. For example, if you're in a parking lot, right, it would adjust that to where, you know, revolutions, you have to make, you make less revolutions in order to complete end-to-end or lock-to-lock turn. So actually pretty cool. But for not having that, I feel like when I'm driving, there's a lot of play in the steering wheel, and it kind of sucks a little bit, because then you don't really feel like you're absolutely in control of the vehicle. Like you don't feel the ground underneath you, so you have a feeling of more floating above the road. So that's just my feelings, and I'm not cool with that. But I think maybe it's because it's got a solid front axle. I could be completely wrong, but the Jeep also has a solid front axle. So I think maybe that's what affects that. If it had an independent front suspension, then it would be able to do that, but or it would be able to drive just better in general, right? But then it affects everything else. You don't have articulation and whatever else not. So I guess you get what you get. So that is a problem on the road. But then I'll do a full review, guys, after I've driven it for a little bit longer and lived with it for a little bit longer. But for right now, I love it. I think it's great. And I'm not one of those guys that buys a vehicle and I'm like, because I paid for it, I'm going to just talk all good things about it and not be sad if something is bad. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to give it to you how I feel. And this is just my personal opinions about what I'm experiencing in the vehicle. You can drive it and make up your own, but this is just one guy's opinions of how he felt in his 2022 F-350, Ford F-350 Tremor Edition. So that's about it for right now. Honestly, if I remember anything else, I'll kind of plug it in here, edit it, whatever. But for right now, I'm going to drive home, get those boxes out, and see you guys on the next video. Hopefully this was helpful to you. So another thing here, just driving real slow down the road here, is I love the diesel sound. You know, I know we're moving to electric and pretty soon this is like one of my last diesel vehicles. I get that. And I don't mind electric. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever, as long as it gets to the point where we can actually use it off-road and that kind of thing. And I actually have a Hummer, the new Hummer SUV. I actually have a pre-order on that, so looking forward to that if it ever comes out. But I love the sound of the diesel engine. It's just so quintessential to me, and it represents power, right? And it's just, I love that about this vehicle. So that's also another thing I love, just from a driver's driving impression kind of thing. All right, so here's another picture here with some vehicles off the camera. You can tell you can't even see those vehicles back there. Like everything is all absolutely grainy. So yeah, not cool. So this is my driving impressions in this vehicle so far. I'll of course continue to update you guys as I drive it a little bit more and get a little bit more experience and just get more opinions, maybe refine my initial impressions. Maybe I'll be like, you know what, after driving it for 800 miles, it is bumpy, or whatever else not, right? So this is not a final statement. Don't take this and run off to the bank, to the dealership and go buy one or not buy one. This is just, what did I feel like the first few miles that I drove this vehicle, and what were my impressions then? And then, yeah, back to this camera again. I mean, look at that. Absolutely horrible. You can't even see those vehicles even here sitting, you know, let alone not just in the camera, but I can't see those vehicles very well at all. It's all just grainy and pixelated. Absolutely not cool. Ford, not cool whatsoever. Hopefully you guys got some information out of this and that it was helpful. Otherwise, I will catch up with you guys in the next video. Peace.